All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 306 of the 815 Exchange. And ladies and gentlemen, all right, who won the NBA Finals? Who won the Stanley Cup Finals? The World Cup kicked off. We have NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships to talk about. Just a little smidge of entertainment. Just a little smidge just to, break up the things. Nothing too crazy. I watched Citadel, listened to some tunes. That was it. All right, nothing too crazy. But besides that, all right, absolutely stacked. World Cup, Roundup, we got racing, UFC, if I can record it. All right, I'm not going to lie, depending on if they get the show off. All right, I'm recording this early Sunday, or not really early Sunday, afternoon Sunday. And for some reason, Trump's birthday, Dana decided to make the event on a Sunday night, which makes no sense to me. Besides, whatever painter he wanted to do. But anyways, we'll see. All right, so maybe we talk about UFC. If not, we'll talk about it in 307. But ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolutely stacked episode. So get some food, get some drink. As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content, and follow the podcast, I guess, as well, if you're listening to this on Spotify. And yeah, as always, everything you're looking for can be found in my description. Timestamps embedded in the video, in the description, social media, in the description, also in the outro. Let's get to what we have to handle, the NBA. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we started off. It's not main event today. We're going to get straight to it. Why not? Let's get straight to it today, okay? We only went to 5. All right, what are they saying? My mayor's Muslim. My sandwich is Jewish. Knicks and 5, whatever I forget what it's saying is. All right, anyways, Knicks and 5. All right, it was Knicks and 5 the whole time. I was wrong. Except for, I guess, last week I kind of changed already to kind of what it was going to be. But listen, I was wrong. So I will start off in saying, listen, I thought the West was, the be-all, end-all. I thought the Thunder, Spurs, they were going to smack. Listen, but I did say, I do want to reiterate, I did say the Knicks could give the Spurs some trouble. They're a good matchup. This is a closer matchup than I think people were thinking initially, but I was wrong, okay? I was wrong. And you know what? I'm not mad to be wrong, because you know what? It has been insane, okay? I can't remember a championship celebration like this probably since the first time the Eagles won again, or maybe when Chicago, when the Cubs won the World Series, like seeing a city just embrace itself like this and just like the absolute insanity of the celebrations. Every time a team wins a championship, the city, goes crazy and all that stuff. This is insanity. All right, this is absolute insanity, and the only way that New York City could possibly go about the Knicks winning the NBA Finals. All right, it's been a ruckus. And also, the World Cup is going on there in New York, New Jersey, however they want to phrase it. So you got all that going on. So I've been watching my friend's story. Shout out to Jaden, Steph, everybody, Chris, Ben. It's been crazy. All right, it's been crazy. So if you're in New York City, listen, prayers out to you. Hopefully we still have a city, because y'all have to co-host the World Cup final in like a month and a half, and we need the city for that. But yeah, as of right now, it's still standing. But yeah, I don't know if anybody's been able to travel anywhere. I don't know if anybody's showing up to work tomorrow. So we will see. All right, we will see. But yeah, congrats to the Knicks on getting it done. All right, 94-90, they get it done here in Game 5 due to an absolutely legendary performance here from the Finals MVP, who averaged 32 for the series, but had 45 in this game. Jalen Brunson stamps himself certified as a superstar and maybe the greatest Knick of all time. Other shout-outs here, I do want to say, of course, we talked about OG, we talked about Mikal, we've talked about Josh Hart, I feel, so shout out to them boys. And you know what? Cat didn't have a great game. All right, Wemby was kind of giving him, at least defensively, the belt. All right, he didn't have a great game offensively. But you know what? Quick shout out to Mitchell Robinson. All right, did a great job subbing in from when Cat was in trouble on Wemby, being physical, roughing him up, getting Wemby out of his element. So shout out to Mitchell Robinson. Shout out to Mike Brown, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Mike Brown. What a way to stamp your career. Taking this Knicks team, taking the Knicks back to the promised land. So shout out to Mike Brown. He outcoached Mitch Johnson. All right, and there was no more appearance. And it wasn't here in Game 5 where it was stamped. And really where this entire series was lost, even though the Knicks came from behind yet again and won here and walked the Spurs down. No, I would be amiss if I didn't talk about the monstrosity we witnessed in Game 4. I have never in my life seen a collapse I mean, it was an all-time, I'm talking any sport, all-time championship game collapse from the Spurs in Game 4. In the Garden, looking like they're going to tie the series and completely shift the momentum. Completely. They were up 29 points going into the second half. 29. And I just kept watching. And I was like, they've missed a lot of shots. They're out of rhythm. It's down to 20 points. Maybe Mitchell call a timeout, get them back on track. It's not the end of the world. Then it went down to 15 at the end of the third quarter, and I was like, uh-oh. They still haven't made any changes. They're still launching threes like they're Golden State for some reason. Wemby is seeing the fatigue. He's played an insane amount of minutes. For them to be up by a whole lot when one of the big storylines is how are we going to manage Wemby throughout this entire series? They're mismanaging him here. He was playing unnecessary minutes, and now they're getting cut down regardless. So I was like, oh, they're in trouble. I was like, they're in trouble. And there was a reason. Because the Spurs, as good as a team as they were this year, have this off switch in default where they just start BSing. It's the youth of the team. That's what we can call it, I guess. It's the youth of the team where they default to their worst tendencies. And we've seen it time after time after time here in the playoffs, and the difference is they always somehow bounce back, and that's what had made them different. Against the Knicks, they just couldn't bounce back. The matchup problems the Knicks caused for them and the way they were able to answer anything the Spurs threw at them is what changed this entire thing. Because they got to 15 and then they walked them all the way down. And then Wemby had a chance, right? He missed the 2 free throws. Very unclutch of Wemby. We got to talk about it. All right. Wasn't the clutchest series for him. Missed a game winner. The turnover with Steph, which could have been a win that game. Would have been a win in that game probably. And then, of course, misses the free throws here. But ultimately, it's fine. They end up with the lead anyway. 107 to 106. Wemby gets put on Brunson. Clock's coming down. Brunson launches it. He misses. Dream scenario. Spurs battle for the ball. Castellating knocks it to the other side. Game is over. Okay? 12-something seconds or under 20 seconds at this point. It's going over to the other side. Fox is racing to it. The game is pretty much over. It's pretty much over. It's done and dusted. Congratulations to the Spurs. Even up the series. We might be going to 7. And then De'Aaron Fox does one of the most idiotic things I have ever seen in any sports medium ever. Ever. I mean, it is, in an all-time collapse, it is the ultimate cherry on top for your $229 million all-star guard, 10-year pro, who you brought in to be the vet, kept around, even though Dylan Harper belongs as a starter, as he is the number 2, the 1B to the 1A, that is Victor Wembanyama. You kept him on the bench his rookie year so you could have Fox starting. This is the moment why you have him. It's why he's the highest paid player on the team. This is the moment. Fox gets to the ball first. Well done. 12.6 seconds, I believe, on the clock. 12.3, actually, I believe, to be exact. You have 2 options. One very obvious right one, and the other one's a very obvious wrong one. You hold the ball. Every other guard, every other player, even some that aren't in the NBA, just people that know basketball, know just hold the ball, run around, get fouled, take the free throws. Listen, maybe you miss one, maybe you miss both, maybe you make them both. All right, and they either get a game winner or they tie the game with the 3 on the other side. Then it's like, okay, oh, well, you got to shake their hand. Great play. Or you make them, they miss the 3, you go up in the series. Or you tie the series, excuse me. So all you got to do, hold the ball. Hold the ball, get fouled. You got OG Anunoby right behind you. OG is right behind you. All defensive team, one of the best wing defenders in the world, right behind you. You know he's behind you. You know he's coming to hawk you down. And Fox, for some God knows why reason, I don't know if it was instinct or just pure stupidity, decides to lay the ball up in a cruel irony, gets fouled, by the way. OG actually doesn't even block him. He gets fouled, but you don't put the situation up anyway. You don't make that the situation where that has to be a call. You just hold on to the ball. Fox lays up some BS. He gets blocked. Knicks get the ball back. Brunson fires again, misses, but of course, as we now famously know, OG skies from the roof of the Garden to somehow tip the ball in because nobody can get an offensive rebound because Wemby was out trying to get the block. Tips it in, wins the game. And that is all she wrote. That is all she wrote. A 29-point lead blown, the largest in NBA playoff history, in an all-time moment in sports history for the New York Knicks. Unbelievable. De'Aaron Fox. Oh, and then he follows it up here in decisive Game 5 by going 3 for 15. Get him up out of here. Get him up out of here. I don't know what he's doing on the team, but get him up out of here. All right? This was a cool little experiment. I don't hate having him on the team for his first year, but I don't care if you got to trade him. I don't care if you got to take the cap hit at this point. He cannot be on this team next year. He can't. He can't. You can't stunt the growth of Dylan Harper, and you can't move on and try to make this thing work with the Spurs because you still have arguably the best young core in the league. This should not be. I know we talk a lot about how hard it is to get back. For all intents and purposes, let's keep it a buck. All right? San Antonio should be back. They should be. Bar injury or some cruel fate on the basketball gods, they should be back with the young talent they have on this team. They're supposed to be the team of the future. But they will not be the team of anything if De'Aaron Fox is in a Spurs uniform next season. Get him off the team. All right? And I don't like and I'm not putting this all on him. Castle shot 1 for 10 in Game 5. Could have played a lot better. Honestly, Harper was the only one that didn't crap the bucket in the finals. He had 25. Shout out to Dylan. That's why he was the second overall pick behind Cooper Flagg. Wemby could have played a lot better, which we're going to talk about. A lot of guys could have played better. But De'Aaron Fox, in the moment that the only reason you're here is for this moment, for something like this, and you flunked out. You straight flamed out. Get him up out of here. Get him out of San Antonio. Leave him on, tarmac him, whatever you got to do. De'Aaron Fox can't be a Spur next year. It was a shameful, shameful performance in the finals from a guy that was supposed to be the leader of this team and prove that he is not anywhere close to that. And honestly, the Spurs could have used some leadership, right? Wemby, I get it. He's a star player. He's supposed to be the leader. He's also 22. It was his first playoff run. We've seen this a million times. Listen, even aliens aren't exempt from that adversity. You got to have it, right? Jordan had to beg to put him in the conversation of GOATs, right? Jordan had the bad boy Pistons. Bron had 07 versus the Spurs, and then a little bit of the dominance of the East Coast or the Eastern Conference teams with the Celtics before he conquered them. Got to get through it, all right? You got to get through it before you get your stripes, all right? The old legends, that's what it was. Bad boy Pistons, Kareem, I don't know, Bill Russell, Will, maybe. But even he wasn't exempt. And he's got to get a lot better offensively. Got to improve the bag. Got to become more reliable. Has to have a reliable scoring option, right? He can shoot the threes, but he doesn't need to live out there. I don't care that, that's a big part of his game, and he's, really got the physique of a wing. You're 7'5", you're a center. Wemby, get your ass in a post. It should be automatic. I don't care if you learn the skyhook. I don't care what you learn. All right, learn something that can be the reliable shot that makes you the dominant scoring player you should be. All right, because, again, best defensive player in the world. You affect the game in so many ways, but we really saw the impact of when people strained you on the perimeter and that shot wasn't falling, how they could take you out of the game offensively and make you a detriment. So, yeah, Wemby got to improve. But, again, we've seen it before with great players. He's got the work ethic. I see a lot of people talk about the sportsmanship and his attitude and all this stuff. And I'm going to say it, y'all. I'm sorry. Wemby does not care about being your hero. I don't know whose thick skull we got to get it through. And I don't know how y'all don't see this. Again, he's the face of the league because he's the best player in the league. Or he's going to be the best player in the league, quote unquote. That is why he's the face of the league. He does not care about being your hero or your triumphant top, no. If he probably would prefer to be the villain. And let's be real. Anybody that is worth anything in sports or any type of competitive environment is not universally loved. The only times in sports as an all-time great you are universally loved is at the end of your career or at the very start. But when you are actually in it becoming a quote-unquote GOAT, you are absolutely not universally loved. You were probably hated. Jordan was hated, Bron was hated, Kareem was hated, Brady was hated, Jerry Rice, Montana, hated, Messi, hated, CR7, hated. You gonna be hated by something, somebody. The big three, hated in tennis. You are going to have people that do not like you. You are going to play the villainous role. It is what happens when you are good at something in this world. I'm sorry. So, Wimby does not care. I'm sorry. He does not care about being your hero. If he's the villain for you, he takes over for OKC. Whoop-de-doo. All right? Wimby doesn't give a fuck. It's just what it is. All right? It's not just because he's French. He just doesn't care. Okay? But he has to get better. He has to get better. He wasn't ready. All right? He wasn't ready. Lights got too bright for the team overall, but none more so than their head coach. All right, Mitch Johnson got a lot to answer to next year. I ain't saying fire him, but he got a lot to answer to because it's not just the players that have to get better. How many leads can you blow in a series? How do you blow a lead in all 5 games? Like, that's remarkable. That is coaching malpractice at this point. Blowing, I mean, it's honestly would be crazy to be a fireable offense, but blowing this many leads, blowing, of course, the one in game 4, it's insane. It is insane. That team is too talented to have an idiot running the show. So Mitch Johnson got to figure out if he's man or mouse next year. Because, here in the finals, he was a mouse and a dud and just sat around watching his team crumble when, as a head coach, Greg Popovich, not going for that. Spo, not going for that. Mike Brown definitely wasn't going for that. So, Mitch got to find out who he wants to be as well. Spurs got a lot to answer to, but they are, of course, the great young team. So we will see what happens. But, yeah, like I said, Knicks, hell of a run, legendary for the city. Timmy in the celebration. Spike finally gets to see a championship. It's a great moment. Honestly, it's a great moment. I'm not one of those, big market teams have to be great, but it is fun. It is fun. It was crazy to see, what I think you could really see, and I said this to one of my friends, I said it to my barber, shout out to Jay. I said, it's crazy to see how much of a pop culture like transfusion or kind of transfiction when one of the great major market teams is doing well or making that championship run, to see how many like celebrities and just the city, the way they just kind of like fall in love with it. It's cool to see, and it's great for the sport. Does huge ratings from a money perspective. So the Knicks being good is a good thing. And it's cool because my dad is a Knicks fan. He finally got to see that championship. He said he cried. He was a very happy man. But yeah, man. Shout out to the city. Shout out to NYC. Shout out to New York. And shout out to Jalen Brunson. What a legend, bro. What a legend. His dad was tweaking, by the way. Pat, listen, no respect to Big Pat, but listen, Brunson's getting a statue for what he did. Pay some respects. It's crazy he got one before Luka. I ain't saying he better than Luka, but it's crazy he did. But shout out to Brunson. Pay him his respects. One of the best players in the world, and he stamped it in the NBA Finals. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to NCAAs. All right, let's get to NCAAs. We'll get the World Cup on the back end, but let's talk about NCAAs because Trackflation is getting out of control. Now, for those that aren't following track and field like that, don't worry, Ocho's got you. Trackflation, definition. It's this current generation now in college, but was coming through high school the past couple of years where we saw increasing records broken at a rapid rate. High school records, college records, just youth records falling like candy when a kid hits it in a candy store. Falling like snow in December. It was ridiculous. All right, it was ridiculous, and we deemed it Trackflation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Trackflation has well and truly taken over the NCAAs. It was, I feel like and I just got like the high level stuff. They were well over double digit combined men and women collegiate records that fell at Hayward Field. I don't know what was in I don't know if the Hayward Field literally got hit, the track literally got hit with Trackflation. I don't know what was in the juice, in the Gatorade, the water, the oxygen in Hayward and Oregon. I don't know what was going on. All right, but it was insane. If you had a college record before this weekend, you probably didn't leave with it. Okay, you probably didn't leave with it. So yeah, let's go down the line here. All right, with some of the biggest performances. All right, Samuel Ghazi, he's been threatening it all season long, but he does break Michael Norman's long-standing 400-meter college record with a 43:38. Won that race pretty handily. Ogazi's one to watch. He's one to watch. All right, the 400 needs new blood, and Ogazi looks like that answer. Yeah, he was dominant. I wasn't sure if he was going to get it. But he got it. All right, he got it. I heard this USC guy to see Mike's record fall, but you know what? Ogazi is a dog. And like I said, one to watch. All right, that's all I'm saying. One to watch. Jaden Reed has been ridiculous. Okay, he didn't win the 100. All right, that was Iyaye from Auburn, who ran a 9.72, by the way. Luckily, it was windy, which, I mean, even if it wasn't, it would have been a 9.8 something. He currently has the world lead, so that was almost one we had to talk about here, but it wasn't, even though that was a super fast race. Jelani Watkins messed up, by the way, who had the collegiate lead and had won regionals, was potentially the favorite alongside Ai, but he messed it up. You got to finish to the line. He didn't do that. So, messed up. So here in the 200, and Jaden Reed said it's my time. All right, 1963 smashes the collegiate record. All right, absolutely obliterates it, nearly 20-year-old record with light work. Okay, 1963 in college. And he ran a 9 something in the 100. This boy's a threat. Okay, this boy's a threat. And also continues the international dominance, the 200 meters here in the NCAA championships. But yeah, Reed is a problem. Okay, he's a problem. But with all that said, he is not going to win the Terraton, or not the Terraton. Or wait, no, Terraton is lacrosse. Why am I blanking on the track and field Heisman? Anyways, the track and field Heisman, all right, which I'm blanking on all of a sudden here on the show, of course, is going to go to Jacoby Thorpe because he didn't break a collegiate record. He didn't break a school record. He didn't make a meet record. He did all that and also broke the world record in prelims. He still won the championship, by the way. He still won the championship. All right, ran a 12.9. Second fastest time in NCAA history. But in the prelims, messed around and ran a 12.75 in the 110 hurdles to set the world record, taking that from Aries Merritt. Obscene. All right, obscene from Tharp. Yeah, no, he got it. He will be winning the track and field Heisman well-handedly. Breaking a world record in college is ridiculous. Breaking a world record in the national championships in the prelims is ridiculous. So yeah, shout out to Tharp, shout out to Auburn. However, Arkansas, despite Watkins not having the most impressive week, the depth, the absolutely ridiculous depth of that team, they do get the sweep. All right, one indoor, one outdoor. They do win the national championship for the men. For the women, we are talking about one Adasia Hodge. We thought we might be talking about her doing the double, but no, it didn't work out. She does win the 200 crown, but the 100 crown, she loses to Shanice Walker. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, all right, I don't know what was in the Juice and Hayward field, but in the prelims, not the final, in the prelims, all right, Hodge runs a 10.63, demolishes Sha'Carri's college record. We thought she might get like a tick under it, maybe like a 10.69, 10.68, 10.63. Fifth fastest time ever. Ridiculous. All right, so yeah, Hodge, she does win the 200, comes second in the 100, but does get the collegiate record regardless. And she wins the national championship as Georgia go back to back. So yeah, actually insane week in track and field. Insane track and field championships. Probably one of the most insane events we've talked about in terms of records falling, even including the Olympics. Okay, I cannot recall anything like this. All right, all time wicked or Hayward. But yeah, that was NCAA's. Quickly, stock entertainment before we get back to the bunches of sports this week. Okay, I watched Citadel. Technically, I haven't watched the finale, but I was spoiled on the big thing. And honestly, the big thing happened in the penultimate episode. Killing Mason Kane is, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a pretty good season actually. I think this season more than the first season. However, killing Mason Kane, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Another Richard Madden character that is somewhat liked getting killed early on. Reoccurring theme. But yeah, I don't know. But it's been a good season. I think the new additions were cool. I think Gabriel was an interesting, villain. I'm interested to see how his finale wraps up. But yeah, killing Kane, I don't know. I don't know. It adds stakes to the show, but I don't know, man. I don't know. But Citadel, that's the case. Love Island has been chaotic. What a drama-filled week. All right, I'm tired of Mel and Sincere. Justice for Bia, even though it was always going to work out like that. That was such a sad, sad farewell. Sean, tough one, buddy. That was that. Music, Bryson Tiller dropped another single. Got to be an album coming. This one, a lot better. I dropped the low. It was fire. Classic Bryson. It was the goods. Gets the cosign from me. K-Trap dropped Can't Say No, feat Young Ads. Of course, he's had, a bunch of the few releases, changes, mystery box over the past couple weeks, past month, and kind of sums it up here with a little EP, not an official EP, but yeah, Can't Say No. Liked it. I guess the cosign for me, K-Trap has emerged as one of my favorite British artists over the past year, 2 years. So yeah, shout out to K-Trap, more good stuff. But yeah, nothing too crazy this week in entertainment. All right, Olivia Rodrigo dropped, so ladies, go crazy. I heard it was good. I even heard it was good from the fellas. All right, so maybe we'll spin some Roddy. But for now, that is entertainment. So let's get to the World Cup. Let's get to the World Cup, man. It is the highlights of the summer, okay? It's what I've been waiting on. It's what I could not wait for. I have been obsessively taking down the days until this event kicked off. And now it is here. All right. And it's going on literally as I'm speaking. All right. I believe Netherlands is playing Japan. So we'll just go through what we've got so far here. Groups A, B, C, and D have all concluded their first leg or first day matchups, however you want to say it. Mexico kicked us off versus South Africa, and made light work. All right, Julian Quinones Julian was out of his body. All right, Raul also got his first goal, finally, after being behind Chicharito, understandably, for so long. He finally, in his fourth World Cup, gets his goal as the number 9 for Mexico. And yeah, made light work of South Africa. They look good. We'll see what happens to the host as well. So we'll see if that can keep the momentum, that environment, the Azteca. However, Korea and Czechia are going to be hard outs. Korea just is something about him. All right, something about him. All right, you look at him on paper and you're like, I don't know. Sonny's lost a step. He clearly lost a step in this match. But they get results. All right, they beat Czechia here, get a big 3 points to tie them alongside Mexico. So, a lot of people may have been a little bit higher on Czechia and what they could do, but Korea goes out and gets it done. So, I think Group A going to be very interesting. I don't think South Africa, that was, horrible. All right, horrible. 3 red cards, by the way. 3 red cards in one day. It was the opening game. Crazy. All right, absolutely crazy. South Africa's dreadful, but the other 3, we'll see how that math, all kinds of work, how it works out. But that was Group A. Group B. Everybody drew. Honestly, this was Group B for boring. Okay, this is the most boring one, even though it had interesting results. All right, Canada, Bosnia was probably the most boring, dare I say, matchup we've seen. Honestly, yeah. I might even say it was the most boring matchup we've seen so far in the World Cup. They drew 1-1. However, Qatar and Switzerland's draw was surprising. Of course, Qatar getting a point here, that was huge. A lot of emotion on their faces, even after they scored. So, yeah, that was huge. And yeah, we could see some chaos come out of Group B. There's no real big dog in that group, so a lot of opportunity. All right, a lot of opportunity to be had there. Group C is a lot deadlier. Okay, it's a lot deadlier. Morocco and Brazil was the biggest matchup potentially of the group stage. All right, the only matchup of 2 top 10 teams here in the group stage. And for the most part, live up to the hype, even though Brazil is certainly not Brazil from 20 years ago. Let's just put it like that. Certainly not that team. Or the teams before that. Okay, but Vinny is cold. All right, y'all forget. Y'all flackled all the Real Madrid boys. Listen, Vinny is cold. But he cannot be the single force to carry this Brazil team. All right, other people have to show up. Why Igor Thiago is starting at striker, I have no idea. Couldn't tell you. Don Carlo help me out. But yeah, Brazil ties here with Morocco, who are no longer dark horses. Okay, Morocco is Morocco. Shout out to the young midfielder Boadi. All right, came over from the French youth teams, chose Morocco here for the World Cup, balled out. All right, he was an absolute engine in this matchup. Hakimi was Hakimi, had some shady tackles though. I gotta admit, even though I love Hakimi. As a player, at least. Let me preface that. But yeah, Morocco, Brazil, little to light for the most part. All right, for the most part, very tense matchup. They're expected to top the group. However, Scotland is dangerous. All right, I'm going to say it right now. Do not sleep on Scotland. This could be one of those scenarios where one of the favorites, even though with the three teams, they'll probably be fine, but one of them, Morocco and Brazil, might not finish 1-2. All right, Scotland is a dangerous, dangerous team. With McTominay, McGinn, Andy Robb, it's just something about Scotland, bro. The way they travel to Boston, I'm just saying, there's something about Scotland. They handled Haiti. It was a good scrap. All right, it was a good scrap, though. I will say that. Shout out to Haiti for going for it. But yeah, Scotland, dangerous team. Very dangerous team. Group D, though. Group D is America's group. It is the USA's group because, ladies and gentlemen, the USA played the best full game of soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, I have ever seen the U.S. men's national team play ever against Paraguay. It was near perfect. Besides the goal we gave up, a near perfect performance. Pac had them boys looking like prime Spurs. I mean, the pressing, the ball movement, it was beautiful, beautiful football. It was the beautiful game brought to America in the great environment that was SoFi Stadium. It was, perfect. Okay? I could have shed a tear. Watching Pulisic look like lockdown Pulisic. We got a real striker, no disrespect to Josie and Jayasi. And who the hell did we have last time? I don't even want to talk about it. All right, it was just, we haven't had a proper striker, the caliber of Florian Balogun, ever. All right, he is the best we've ever had, and he showed it with a brace in this game. He was unmarkable. All right, unmarkable. 2 incredible goals for Balogun. He is looking like a potential Golden Boot early candidate here if USA makes a run. Gio Reyna gets some redemption with the Travella with one of potentially the goal of the tournament so far. And yeah, the boys cooked. Robinson, Tillman, Weston McKennie in the midfield. It was great. It was great. All right. It was one of the most cathartic performances I've ever had watching the U.S. men's national team. Probably since we beat Mexico in that iconic Puli photo. It is my favorite game I've seen us play, and it was a much better played game from like a pure tactical perspective. Here against Paraguay. And it was a statement. All right, it was a big-time statement from the U.S. We'll see what happens. Australia just threw this entire group, however, into chaos because they took out Turkey. I think a lot of people had Turkey with Goller and Yildiz and them being the European team booked to top it. And Australia to not really be in type of competition. Well, listen, Turkey had all the possession but had terrible opportunities. They could not generate a worthy opportunity to save their life. And Australia made the most of theirs, and they made them pay. 2-0, they get the W here, and that changes everything. U.S. plays, I think, Australia next on Friday. That's going to be very interesting. USA wins 2. They're good. They're golden. They're through the group. Australia, we'll see if they can make a surprise run. They looked, again, in limited opportunity, won the cleanest game. All right, a little bit of haram ball from Turkey, but took advantage of opportunities. They've got some exciting players, and it's Australia in the World Cup. All right, they can be very unpredictable. Turkey needs redemption. All right, so we'll see if they can bounce back versus Paraguay, but man, oh man, that was a rough first game for them. And then in Group E, ladies and gentlemen, Germany just beat up Morocco. They got the first goal, though. All right, they got the first goal, but they did get the classic 7-1 from Germany. So, yeah, welcome to the World Cup. All right, welcome to the World Cup. But we won't harp on it. We won't harp on it. And, very excited for this week, for us to get into the second leg in the weekend and get through the rest of these games. Of course, France versus Senegal. I am very excited to see on Tuesday. I think that's the first game on Tuesday. We are here back with the 4-3 game, the 3 to 4 games a day. It's Prime World Cup. I'm excited. We will be tuned in and talking about it here on the 8:15 Exchange. All right, ladies and gentlemen, editing time skip because, ladies and gentlemen, NHL time. And I don't even know how this is going to come off, this segment, this main event segment here. because I'm too geeked right now. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we are Stanley Cup Finals champions for the first time in 20 years. We are one of my teams has won a championship. I'm so, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And what a way to do it. All right, the Carolina Hurricanes take down the Vegas Golden Knights here in Game 6. 2-0. Crazy, by the way, that both teams in the NBA and the NHL that win the championships win it on the road as well. So, yeah, crazy little tidbit there. But my goodness. A shutout. After we saw all of the offense, all of the goals, we had goalie changes, which is a big story of what happened here and what got it done for the Canes here in the first place. After all of the offensive explosion we've seen in the series, it's a 2-0 Game 6 that clinches it for Carolina. And that's just, it's so poetic. So shout out to the Rook. All right, shout out to Bussy. Came in. All right, Freddie was dynamite all playoffs long. Just didn't have it, was a little banged up here in the Stanley Cup Finals, and he answered the bell. All right, he answered the bell. Of course, shout out to, Chatfield, Slavin. Oh my goodness, what a performance he had today. And yeah, the entire Carolina defense, including the forward core, for just showing up big time, shutting down the Vegas offense that has been so deadly. Marner, of course, was approaching 30 points, I think, for the entire playoffs. Eichel, we could go on and on. Stone, so much star power and talent on that Vegas offense. Yet, Canes held it down here in Game 6, shut it down, and especially shut it down in that third period. We know empty net, extra attackers, power plays, killed it all off. All right, shout out to Rod the Bod. Had the boys buzzing, bro. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And over a personal note, before I talk about my effing captain, it's crazy for me because it's my dad is a Knicks fan, as I mentioned, I'm pretty sure in the top segment. I've mentioned before on here, but for those that don't know, my dad is a Knicks fan, so he got his championship. I am, of course, as you can tell, a Carolina Hurricanes fan, so I got my championship. So both the Crenshaw boys walk away with something. So overly gassed. Conn Smythe, the oldest Conn Smythe in history at 37 years old, goes to the one and only Jordan Staal. I mean, of course, Stankoven, Ehlers, probably had a conversation, but 6 goals in the Stanley Cup Finals. And if you think about the other things, Jordan Staal, throughout this entire playoff run, has epitomized what a captain in hockey is supposed to be. And it literally started from the opening game till today. The perfect, ideal captain you want. This is textbook. When they showcase to kids and future young captains down the line, they should show you what Staal did throughout this playoff run. Whether it was generating the offense, whether it was just leadership. He set the tone in Game 1, the first interaction we had in any game here in the Stanley Cup playoffs this season was Jordan Staal fighting Brady Tkachuk to let the Senators know what time it was, to set the tone, and he closed it in dominant fashion here in the Stanley Cup Finals, being a star. Jordan Staal, I can't say it enough. Staal brothers, y'all are good in Raleigh, y'all good in North Carolina forever and ever and ever. Eric already a legend. Jordan might as well get his number put up in the rafters after getting a Conn Smythe and doing what he did to bring us another championship. No words. Rod the Bod needs a statue, okay? Should have been in the Hall of Fame for what he did as a player, but now it's stamped for what he's done as a coach. But yeah, name something after him. I don't care. Name the arena after him. I know it's not just the Canes Arena, but name Lenovo after Rod the Bod. All right, name the ice after him. Something. Give him a gigantic statue. Is what I don't want, like a normal statue. I need Rod the Bod to have a massive just. We won the Stanley Cup, bro. We won the Stanley fucking Cup. Feels so good. Feels so good. Vegas, hey, great season. Great season. But it was not happening this year. All right, we finally conquered all demons. And yeah, this was honestly a relatively anxiety-free Game 6 for me. It was weird as a fan to step away from being an analyst yet again. It was so weird because I've had so much of like being used to being let down in the pain. I've gotten so used to that. So it felt weird, like us just not faltering, us not folding, and it's just, we're going to win this. Like when it got late and we're going to win this, it was like, it didn't even really set in. It was crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, Hurricanes get it done. We're on top of the hockey world. Stanley Cup Finals. Shout out to Jordan Stahl and shout out to Roundup. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the roundup, which is just racing this week. I was going to talk baseball, which would just be talking about Miz being arguably the best pitch. I mean, at least the nastiest stuff in the world currently. And that's including skates. All right, what Miz is doing in Milwaukee is obscene. Okay? 104 off rip multiple times a game, a 90 miles per hour curveball. His K rate is fucking ridiculous. It's higher than Skeens. It's disgusting. All right? Disgusting. WNBA, Caitlin Clark is back on her BS, so that's good. All right, that's good for the game. Ben Shelton won another title. Shout out to Trinity Rodman. Team USA got into it with Brazil. So yeah, that's all that. But I just wanted to highlight racing this week because we got NASCAR and we got F1 to talk about. But of course, we're going to start off in Europe. The last, I won't say ever, but the last Barcelona Grand Prix for a very long time here in Spain. Lewis gets it done, ladies and gentlemen. He finally gets, listen, I know we won a sprint race last year, but this is a sprint race, okay? It was a sprint race. He wins his first actual proper Grand Prix in a Ferrari uniform. This is what he came for. It's why he donned the iconic red. All right, and he finally gets it done. It's been coming. All right, a lot of momentum this season. He's looked like the Lewis of old. Well, he's looked like non-washed Lewis, like Lewis effing Hamilton. Okay, he's looked like Sir Lewis Hamilton this season. I won't say Lewis of old because Lewis of old was, historically dominant, but he's been very good. All right, he's been very, very good. He has been Sir Lewis effing Hamilton, and he was that. All right, and guess what? Ferrari didn't screw up the strategy. Brilliant call all throughout. Beautiful undercut. Then got lucky with the safety car. Shout out to Alonso. And then Kimi's car, which, listen, even when George wins some points back because Kimi gets a DNF, he still kind of is like, it's a win, but a statement was made in this race. All right, and it's what I've been saying for weeks now, but it's now stamped after this race. Kimi is just faster than George. He's just faster than George. Honestly, which I'm not advocating for them to do because they are in a championship race, so I get it. But if they want to play the team game and honestly have given themselves the best chance to win this race, you probably should have just let Kimi. Now, of course, Kimi ended up getting track limits, which was miscommunicated, so that was kind of on the FIA. But nonetheless, probably should have released Kimi and let him let him pass George, even though he passed him anyway before his car shut down. But should have let him go earlier, and he could have maybe chased down with his race pace, maybe chased down Lewis. Lewis probably still would have won. He was just different breed this week, but Kimi's just faster. All right, he's just faster. Beautiful pass right before his car just completely shuts down on him. Unfortunate, but listen, the Mercedes power engine unit has been unreliable. As good as it is, it has been unreliable. It's gotten George with the bad luck. Of course, McLaren has obviously had numerous issues throughout this season. With Lando having the least amount of race time of any driver so far this year, even though he gets a podium and making it an all-British podium for the first time since the 60s, I think. But yeah, it was just time. Kimi, #blessed. Unfortunately, it had to come to an end. It just happened to be this one. But he had the right mindset around it. These things happen in racing. I was very impressed by that. Great sportsmanship to, go up, still take care of his mentor, Lewis, and congratulate him on the win. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but unlucky for Kimi. Lewis is up, and F1 is championship is back on. I don't think it was ever off. I get he had a huge lead, and Kimi still has a big lead, but listen, anything can happen. A lot of racing to be had. Similarly, listen, Reddick was putting it on everybody, winning all of those races to start the season. However, Denny Hamlin wants it. I mean, he's been wanting it, but it just feels different this year. I'm not going to lie. Something feels different about Denny this season. He's got 3 straight wins now after winning at Pocono. He has closed in on Reddick in the standings. He wants this, man. He wants this chip badly. And he might just get it. All right, he might just get it. But similar to, like I said, in F1, a lot of racing to be had. But yeah, Denny Hamlin in spectacular form currently in stock car racing. And we will see what happens. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it. All right, that is it for episode 306. I am going to try to fall asleep, and luckily I work from home tomorrow because, my goodness, the Canes our Stanley Cup Finals champions. And I'm going to be honest, we have New York offices. We work with a lot of New Yorkers. They're probably not even going to be in tomorrow. And it's a shorty week because it's Juneteenth next week. It's just straight vibes. All right, we're having a great time. I hope you guys have a great time. This is coming out on a Monday, so I hope you have a great rest of your week, all right, whenever you listen to this. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, for episode 306, Ocho, signing off.